So, again, you will have seen the trailers if you've been in the cinema in the last few weeks. So the story is there's a young girl who is sent to, she's lost her mother, she's sent to live with her father, who is an eco-eccentric. He believes, she's voiced by Amanda Seyfried, he believes that, in fact, the world of nature is run by small people. She thinks he's bonkers. We all know that he isn't. How do we know that? Because we saw the trailer. Is it clear?
I don't know how much your mother told you about my work.
Nothing. It's just that you have a delusional belief in an advanced society of tiny people living in the woods. Or something?
Well, these little guys are a big part of the ecosystem, the engine, if you will, and I will prove it. Here.
You have bat sounds on your iPod?
But I was trying to identify the frequencies that draw bats to gather with their own kind. And guess what I heard?
Voices?
Yes! Isn't that cool?
Okay, if tiny men are flying around in the forest, how come I've never seen them?
You know what? Just because you haven't seen something doesn't mean it's not there.
I like animation on the radio.
Yeah, it kind of sounded perky, didn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's, it's in a way...
It's half term, that's what
well,
it is.
you forget the fact that, in fact, all animation is built from the soundtrack upwards, isn't it? Because it's, you get the soundtrack and then they have to sort of do the animation around it. So anyway, what then happens is that due to a strange coincidence of events, it turns out, of course, actually the world is really ruled by small people out there, tiny little people who, in an interesting plot device, move faster than the sort of large people. Therefore, that's why you don't hear their dialogue. It has to be all slowed down. Okay, fine. So they're out there doing it. There is a battle going on between the Queen of the Forest, who needs to regenerate the forest, and the forces of evil who are seeking to make the forest all die. So it's kind of, Fern Gully and a bit of Avatar. And if you've seen the trailer, actually, you'll know that the animation is, the detail in the animation is great. And there's lots of sort of swooping and sweeping and action and falling and running. And then it actually looks quite, exciting. The funny thing with the film is that it's, despite all the movement and all the running and jumping and action and all that stuff, which is perfectly fine, it's oddly unremarkable in terms of it's not. I don't think it's anything that's going to live with its audience beyond the screening beyond watching the film itself. However, that said, in a week in which you have to suffer something as completely soulless and uninteresting as Something in the Air, despite the fact that, epic, and as everyone has said, if you call a film epic, you are sort of setting yourself up for everyone to go, epic fail, yeah, okay. The fact of the matter is that it's not boring. It's okay. It romps along, and I ended up sort of being quite enchanted by some of the detail of the animation and thinking that some of the incidental character jokes worked okay. The narrative sort of wibbles and wobbles around in a sort of Rise of the Guardians way, and it never really manages to do that thing which a great, family film will do, which is connect with the heart. In fact, what it does is it connects with the eyes, and you stand there watching the spectacle going on, occasionally laughing at the jokes, but never being bored. But the minute it's finished, it's kind of gone, and I suspect it's one of those things that'll do absolutely fine, and people go along and see it, and they won't be in any way bothered or upset or angered by it, and they'll have a perfectly nice time, and in a few weeks afterwards, it'll be gone. That is pretty much, it's as recommendations for family entertainment go. It's like, okay, it will occupy you for the time that you're watching it, and there are so many films that don't manage to do that. The problem is, I think, that when particularly in a week in which we're seeing, Studio Ghibli re-releases, for example, and Miyazaki's, and you can see just how fantastic and great and brilliant and enthralling and lively animation, when done properly with brilliant storytelling, can be. This is kind of ordinary to disappointing. However, in a week in which The Hangover Part 3 is going to be the biggest release of the week, you think, you know what? I'd rather be running around with the little people doing the 3D skydiving.
And if it's damp in Great Yarmouth on Thursday, you might think, might as well.
No, well, exactly, and that's exactly it. It's like, might as well.